Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So, I do have the round 9 game for you between Wesley and Leinier Dominguez-Perez. So, we finishing off the Sinquefield Cup strong. And, of course, for all my people coming from the Philippines, as always, I would say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking magkaibigan? Check out the photo that I just posted. It's a photo I guess they have in the St. Louis Chess Club. I've never been to the St. Louis Chess Club, so it's kind of interesting. I definitely want to go at some point. It's not that far away from me, actually, but yeah, check that out. But I'll say mabuhay. Kamusta na aking magkaibigan? Masaya kong makinikang muli. Hello ulit. Magandang umaga, magandang hapon. It is afternoon to you guys. I'm on extremely late. So yes, anybody who is coming from Cuba, or who does speak Spanish, I will say, hola, ¿cómo está? Estoy bien. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias para ver mi video y mi YouTube. Y también, muchas gracias para comida. Comí tacos hoy. Delicioso. Con salsa. See? Es que bueno. Okay. If you guys are ready to go, let's go ahead and take a look and see what we got for this game, man. Alright. So we got the move D4. We got D5. We got C4. And then we have pawn takes C4. So we do have the Queen's Gambit accepted. Sometimes played by these guys at this level. We got knight to F3. At some point, we probably want to move this queen over or maybe move the knight or something like that to try to get, take this pawn over. Or we can simply go E3 and take it back with the bishop, kind of however you feel like doing. We do see knight to F6. We got the move E3. So kind of going in line with what I was talking about. We do have the move E6 and pawn bishop takes C4. Now, like I say before, you really rarely see B5 trying to hold on to the pawn because if white plays correctly, they're going to be able to get the pawn back regardless. And you're pretty much just kind of mess up your structure and really not be developing any pieces. And that's not something that we want to be doing. We don't want to be moving a bunch of pawns everywhere. We really kind of have to get our pieces developed and get castled and everything. So we got the move C5. You guys are geniuses. I know every one of you guys out there was watching the video was like, you know what? C5 is coming after he gets done talking. And it did. And I'm proud of y'all. Good job. Malaka, see you guys. So we do see the move castles by white. We got knight to C6, knight to C3. We got the move A6. We're thinking of maybe some point, maybe getting B5 rolling. If we can successfully get B5 rolling, then, C4 can be coming and just kind of displacing the bishop a lot. So, we don't really too much want that. So we do see pawn taking C5. Queen taking D1, rook taking D1, and then bishop does take C5, and then we do have bishop to D2. We got castles by black, so both sides are pretty much doing what they need to do. Rook A to C1, and you can see that white has just put their rooks on completely open files. So, I mean, everything is everything, so black kind of has to play catch-up just a little bit. So we do see the move bishop to D7. We got bishop down to E2. Rook F comes to D8, so, black is catching up. We got the knight over to A4, which, of course, just leaving it on that rim is going to be grim. But when the bishop does back up to A7, the knight comes to C5. And this is a beautiful square for this knight to go to. It's really, really kind of hard to kick it in this position because you can see this move here. I mean, it is pressuring this bishop, especially if this bishop moves or something like that. And we can get rid of this knight at some point. So, I mean, the knight really just can't stand, man. It's just too good of a square. So we do see bishop taking C5 and then rook taking C5. And then we have knight to E4. This is placing a nice little attack on this rook. Also this bishop. The position is very, very open. So black really kind of does want to get rid of both of these bishops that white has. So we do see the rook C coming to C1. And then we got knight taking D2. And we have seen this before. But in this game, we do see a brand new novelty, which is knight takes D2. So before... Of course, there's only one other move. I mean, it's rook takes. And this is just pretty much setting you up to double rook somewhere. So after we will probably see rook A to C8, you'd probably see rook D to C2. And you have just taken completely over this file. You could have did the same thing here, just kind of taking that one over. That would have been fine as well. But like I said, we did see knight taking D2 like this. And then we do see the knight coming back to E7. And this is actually a really nice move. It probably looks really random, like, why did you move the knight back? It was perfectly placed on c6. Well, the thing about it is, what white wants to do, and this is something that basically Dominguez-Perez was kind of seeing, white really kind of wants to go knight to c4. Because if they can get in knight to c4, they can possibly get in knight to b6 and kind of put a little bit of pressure on both of these pieces, especially if it's moved out from in front of this rook. That can be pretty deadly as far as that bishop is concerned, because it's only protected by that one rook. So, we do see the move of knight to b3 in the game. But if I back up, if we did see knight to c4 now, saying, hey, man, I want to try to do what you were just talking about. Well, knight to c7 defends because now we can play bishop to b5. As you guys see, this knight was in the way before, so you couldn't play bishop to b5. And b5 wouldn't have worked because of knight over to b6 anyway. So now that we have bishop coming to b7, this bishop is completely undefended, so you really don't want to move this knight because this bishop is going to get captured, and then we're not really winning any pieces. We're just losing a piece. So, you know, that is basically what black was doing to try to prevent that. So that's very logical. So like I said, the knight does come to b3, and then we do see the bishop coming to a4. And this kind of pickles you just a little bit because this knight is pinned down to this rook, and you really kind of don't want this scenario going on because you're going to have these really ugly pawns. So the first thing we do is take on d8 with check with the rook, and then the rook takes on d8, and then we do see the move knight to c5. And we have come to, it's not like a crucial critical point in the game, but, you know, we do kind of have this issue right here with this, knight attacking this bishop, right? So you can either retreat it somewhere, or you can do what we saw in the game, and that was actually rook over to c8. Okay, so let's go back here. There was another move. I mean, there's some other moves, but one of the other main moves that you could have seen was the move bishop back to c6. And this was a possibility. So I want to branch off at this point, and I want to ask you guys a question. If we see bishop to c6, right? And I wanted to throw out a variation to you, and I wanted you to tell me if you think it's good or bad. So this would be kind of like a guess the move portion. If the knight takes b7, bishop takes b7, and then rook takes c7, it seems like you're winning a pawn, right? Like, I mean, just pretty much like you're winning a pawn just because, like, okay, you got this rook attacking this bishop and this knight. So you just basically won a pawn, you're forking two pieces, everything is everything, right? Is this good or is this bad? And then also, if you could come up with it, what move should black play in this position after that? Go ahead and try to guess that real quick. Okay, so I just actually realized at the moment that, yeah, it probably didn't really do me that much good to ask you if this is good or bad because you guys saw the bar go way down. So, yes. But more specifically, I wanted to try to know if you guys could tell me why it's bad. Because like I said, I just explained everything. You know, we got this rook attacking both of these pieces. We just want a pawn. So it can't be bad. And we're not having to worry about, really importantly, this back rank mate because this bishop is protecting. And then if the rook moves over, you can just move the king over, right? So everything should be good. And this is definitely something, I mean, some people I feel like would have went into, right? Well, the most interesting thing about the position here is if you decide to go into this, you would have had to have calculated a certain depth to realize that if you go into this particular variation that you have actually trapped your rook. The bishop is going to move out of the way. You have two moves in this position. Bishop to c8 or bishop to c6. If you guessed either one of those moves, you'd be absolutely correct. Congratulations. You were like a gigantically great spotter of trapping pieces. So let's just take bishop to c6, for example. Okay, to get material equality back, you have to take this knight over here, right? And then you would be looking at the move bishop to d7. And the problem is this rook has nowhere to go. And king to f8 is coming really soon, like literally right after this move. So you can take another pawn if you want to, but you are going to be losing the exchange for sure. Because you're going to have to sacrifice your rook for this bishop. So, like I said, if you guys saw all of that, then you'd be super gangster. You know, it did, at first glance to me, it kind of looked like something you can do, and I had to kind of think for a minute, and I was like, okay, that's not really... Once I saw that bishop to c8, bishop to c6 move, I was like, ah. Because it looked a-okay to me, man, so I wonder if I would have done that in the game. So don't do that stuff. Anyway, we did see this position here, and then we do see the move king to f1. We got the move b6 in. I mean, so you can't actually take this bishop at the moment because you are looking at, you know, rook taking here. So you absolutely have to go back to d3. This does allow rook to c1 with check. The knight takes c1, and then you do have the move a5. And what you are starting to see here is Dominguez-Perez noticing that white has a light square bishop, and also he has a light square bishop. So he's starting to put his pawns on dark squares so that they're not targets. The knight does come up to d3. We see king over to f8. We got king over to e1. We got knight down to f5. We got knight to e5. Knight back to d6. We got the knight down to c4, just encouraging a trade. Knight takes c4. A bishop takes c4. We do have king to e7. We got king to d2. We got bishop up to c6. And you literally are going to see, like, the thing that I told you about a second ago with basically noticing what color square bishop your opponent has and what color squares you need to put your own pawns on to make sure they maximize everything in completely full force coming up. We do see the move g3. We got e5, f4, f6. We got a3, h6, h4, king to d6, b4, pawn takes b4, pawn takes b4. And like I said, you literally, everything that I just got done saying earlier with Dominguez-Perez noticing that he needs to put his pawns on dark squares, like every single move that we just got done saying, literally both players did that. So this is like the most perfect example of what you are supposed to do when you are playing an opponent that has a certain color bishop. Like, take a picture of this in your mind. And this is exactly what you need to be doing in your own game. If you're playing in a game where you have bishops of the same color or even opposite colors or whatever like that. And so we do see the move bishop to e4. Bishop goes back to b3. We got bishop back to c6. We got bishop to c4. We got bishop back to e4. Bishop to b3. Bishop to c6. And we got bishop to c4. And we have drawn the game by threefold repetition. So that seals that. And the Sinquefield Cup is actually over. So as you guys probably are aware, Alireza Firouzja did win the tournament. So congratulations to him. But I thought this was pretty interesting back here, though, you know, with the bishop back to c6, because immediately when I saw bishop to c6, I was thinking, can't you do this? And then the bishop takes, and then you got like a fork. So I would have had to have calculated maybe just one more move deeper, or else I would have been messed all the way up. So yes, I appreciate you guys very much. Maraming salamat, aking makaibigan. Muchas gracias, mis amigos. And I'll see everybody next time.